Hare Krishna. Thank you so much, Vidhu Mataji, for inviting me. And sorry, I was not able to, you had requested me, but I was busy in some projects. And
No
I can
problem.
actually, I can actually tell you that as part of our devotional service, we go and take some exams. And so one of my exams was due not
Oh,
Sunday. So I really had to put my head down and
yeah,
study.
yeah. No, thank you so much for coming today.
Like that. So, okay. So we will continue on with our discussions on the stages of devotional service. And if it's okay with everybody, then I'm going to mute all of you. And I'm giving you the privileges to unmute yourself when needed. And I'll bring up the PowerPoint presentation. Sorry. And then I will ask Vibhu Mataji, when I bring up the PowerPoint, to let me know whether she's able to see it or not. It's always a challenge to make sure that it reaches everybody. So like that, and it was such beautiful two kirtans that Ushaji and Mahendraji sang. That itself is a value for money, value for coming to this class was the two kirtan. It's amazing, and it's also amazing as to how these songs are so meaningful. They have a depth of very deep messages that they convey in such a beautiful and melodious way, like that. So which makes it easy for us to digest Krishna Katha. And that's what we are out here to try to do, that a little bit, understand that how we can progress in devotional service. And we were talking about the 9 stages of devotional service. And we have made some progress. We have covered a few of them already. And I will continue to walk through the others after this brief prayer to the spiritual master. And it's been a very long time since we met today. So I'll spend a little time in doing a recap of what we have been learning. And it's always nice to have a recap because it is a well-known fact that those who live in Kali Yuga have a very short memory. And so, we listen to Krishna Katha, we like it, but then 4 or 5 days later, it just slips out of our memory. It's gone forever till we come back again and say, all right, I need to do a recap on that. I need to relearn what I've learned again. So that's the purpose of having a recap, so that it should get etched in our memory and we can then apply the information because it's in our conscious mind all the time. So pranams to my spiritual master. Om Ajnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam yena tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. So today's agenda is Kirtan. So we had 2 very melodious Kirtans, and we'll have some Kirtans in the end as well. I'm going to talk about 9 items of stages of devotional service. Please feel free to unmute yourself, stop me, and ask any questions. And also, please feel free to stop me if I am going very fast. Okay, we have time. We can go over these things slowly. The main idea is that the concept should get etched in our psyche. So I intend to have some time for reflections. It's not necessarily going to be in the middle, in the end. You can always stop and bring them in between the class itself. So the 9 stages of devotional service. Before that, we had opened with why should I do devotional service? And in that context, I had talked about the ultimate goal of a soul which is there in a human body. So does anybody remember what was the ultimate goal of life? If you do remember, then please unmute yourself. And
Yeah, love of God.
Love of God. Fantastic. Very, very nice. Like 200 points to you. So please start collecting your points. So prema pumarto mahan is what we say in Sanskrit. So that is the biggest. So love of God is the biggest goal of our life, and it's the biggest thing that you can ever, and the best thing that we can ever achieve in life. It's beyond the riches, it's beyond the diamonds and the palaces and beauty and everything. Love of Godhead. So 9 stages of devotional service are mentioned in Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita Mathalila. It's a fantastic study of the soul, the Jiva soul. And it says, Adau Shraddha Tatha Sadhu Sango Tha Bhajana Kriya Tato Nartha Nivritti Syat Tato Nishtha Ruchis Tatha. So here itself there are a few stages of devotional service having listed: Shraddha, Sadhu Sangha, Bhajana Kriya, Nartha Nivritti, Nishtha, and Ruci. So how many are these? Can we count them? Can somebody count and tell me how many are these? And you'll have to unmute yourself to tell me.
Maybe 6.
Yes, 6. Yeah, whenever you're in doubt, don't say maybe, just belt it out. Right? Worst case, you will go down in flames. So Adav Shraddha, and the color coding is giving you the way also. So each stage has got a color of its own, right? So Shraddha, Sadhu Sangha, Bhajana Kriya, Nartha Nivarti, Nishtha, and Ruchi. So we have covered Shraddha, Sadhu Sangha, Bhajana Kriya, Nartha Nivriti, and Nishtha. And today we'll go and touch upon Ruchi. And then the remaining 3 are mentioned. Atha Saktish, Tato Bhavas, Tataha Premabhyudanchati, Sadhakanam Ayam Premnaha, Pradur Bhave Bhavet Kramaha. So then it's also listing the other 3 out of the 9, which is Asakti. Asakti is 1. And then Bhava. Bhava and then Prema. And we said that the ultimate goal of human life is to get love of God. So Prema is 1. And we get them in stages, step by step, step by step. It's not exactly a linear scale, but it is a scale. So we have to go through these 9 stages to be able to achieve what is called as love for Godhead. So can you give me some examples of people who demonstrated that they loved the Lord? Some examples from stories that you heard of people. You'll have to unmute yourself to answer that.
Like Shabri.
Shabari, very good. She had love for Ramchandraji. And what was
Meera.
Hanuman,
Hanuman, Meera, Radha, and all the gopis, right? Yeah.
Mirabai.
Mirabai. Yes. And so what was so peculiar about Shabri's love for Lord Ramchandra? What was so special about that? Why did we... So what was so special about Shabri? Why do we list Shabri? And we do that, and you're right in doing that. But
He was very poor.
I think it was very simple.
Navda Bhakti.
he did Navda Bhakti. What is Navda Bhakti?
Navda Bhakti.
जो हम लोग अभी कर रहे हैं इस समय.
What is Navda Bhakti? Let's look at that. It's a nice term that you brought in. And let's see what is Navda Bhakti. What do you think is Navda Bhakti?
जो हम लोग अभी कर रहे हैं ना devotional.
Oh, stages. Are you saying stages? What we are doing?
Yeah. That's exactly what it is.
It is Navda Bhakti.
Chaitanya Mahaprabhu.
Yes.
How you can.
Yeah. So there are 9 types of devotional service which Prahlad Maharaj has listed in the Srimad Bhagavatam. And just give me a second here. I need to mute everybody. Okay, mute all participants. And so Prahlad Maharaj has listed the 9 items of, or types of varieties of devotional service that people can do, starting with Shravanam, Kirtanam, right? Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu, Archanam, Dasyam, Sakyam, Archanam, Vandanam, like that, right? So those are the 9 ways in which a person can do devotional service. So let's look at Shabri. Was Shabri doing all that?
Her love was very simple love for
Yeah.
God.
Her love was the simplicity of her love, and the fact that was she a Brahmin?
No,
What was she?
No, no,
she
she
was
was very
क्या
poor.
थी?
scheduled,
क्या थी?
She was
जात
a low.
कैसी थी?
Shudra.
scheduled
caste.
caste.
Schedule caste, yeah. शूद्रा से भी नीचे थी, right? वो भीलनी थी,
Lady.
भीलड़ी, right? भील जाति की थी, right?
Yeah.
So her example is actually showing that it doesn't matter whether you have a high birth, right? Whether you are very intelligent. Na janmanu nam mahato na saubhagam. So it says that it doesn't matter whether you have a high birth. It doesn't matter whether you have great riches. It doesn't matter whether you have a beautiful face. It doesn't matter whether you are very intelligent. It doesn't matter whether you are very good at talking. It doesn't matter at all to be able to get love of the Lord. And actually, this was a verse that was spoken by Hanuman. So since we are talking of Shabri and Ramchandra ji, so I just brought this verse. And he was saying that neither good looks nor high birth in a high class family, nor riches, nor intelligence, nor the capability of speaking very beautifully, all these are not necessary items for getting devotional service of the Lord. And you can see that Hanuman did not have any of those. Was he born in a high family? No. Monkey family. Was he beautiful to look at? No. Monkey face. Can monkeys speak nicely? No. Do they show intelligence? No. They're jumping from this tree to that tree, like that. So Hanuman did not have that, did not have any of those things. But yet Lord Ramchandra made him his best friend because he had something else, right? He had that seva bhav, right? And he had that inner love. So love is always there when you're doing seva to somebody. Sometimes it's not that evident. Sometimes they are not very vocal. They're just serving, but love is there all the time. So Navda Bhakti, so he was doing that. And then he also, about prema and people who have displayed love, he also brought Mirabai, right? So for Shabri, actually, going back to Shabri's love for Ramchandra was way beyond the rituals. Now we might say that, I get up in the morning and I spend half an hour cleaning the altar, and then I go and get the right kind of flowers. Then I put the right flower there. Somebody can say like that, right? And think that I'm doing such a fantastic service. And why is he doing that? Why is that person cleaning the altar? Because it's part of the rules and regulations of devotional service that you have to keep the altar clean. Wherever, when you're doing devotional service, whether you're cooking, whether you are cleaning, whatever you're doing, there has to be suchi in it. Cleanliness has got to be. It says cleanliness is actually a quality of the devotees. They always like to be clean. And when we talk about cleanliness, it's both type of cleanliness, inner cleanliness as well as outer cleanliness. Both types of cleanliness is there. So, but what did Shabri do? Was she clean? What did she do? Unmute yourself and tell me, what did she do?
Every day, although she didn't know
Every day she was
that
waiting.
Just prem bhav and seva. That's it.
She
So
was very
she
poor.
didn't know that Ram is going to come today, but because उनके गुरु ने उनसे कहा था कि एक दिन वो आएंगे, उनकी प्रतीक्षा करते हुए एवरी डे उसने वो सब काम किए, भगवान की प्रतीक्षा करते हुए उनका मार्ग साफ किया, उनके लिए फल चुन के लाई, फिर टेस्ट किया उनको.
Yeah, it's a very interesting point that you bring up, Usha ji, that she had faith in the spiritual master.
Right.
And you see that faith is very, Shraddha is very, very important. Sure. Guru mukha padma vakya chitete koriya kya aur na kori ho mane asha. Arna kori ho mane asha. So what it says is that from the lotus mouth of the spiritual master, if any words of instructions come out, then I etch my mind with those instructions. And my only abhilasha. My only desire is to fulfill the instructions of my spiritual master, like that. So look at Shabri. She had so much of faith that my spiritual master has said Ramchandraji will come. This means he will come, right? Yasya deve parabhaktir yatha deve tatha guru tasya se kathita hi artha prakashante mahatmana. So it said that one who has got unflinching faith, in the Supreme Lord Krishna, as well as his spiritual master, like Shabri, right? She had faith in Ram, which is nothing but Krishna, who is nothing but Krishna, and faith in her spiritual master. Then when a person is behaving in that manner and has got so much of faith, then to that person, all the meaning, the import, or the essential meaning of the Vedas or the scriptures automatically gets revealed to them. So this is one of the key items when you're doing devotional service, is that you should have faith in your spiritual master. And even before that, you should have a spiritual master. You should have, right? And that's why in the stages of devotional service that we're talking about, we talk about adau shraddha, that somehow you have got some faith, right? And then sadhu sangha. Because of the faith, you come and have a sadhu sangha, like we are having right now, right? All of us, you're all sadhus. You're all assembled here today. Sadhu Sangha, Atha Bhajana Kriya. So the third stage is to do Bhajana Kriya, which means that you start to do devotional service in a formal way, under the guidance of a spiritual master is what you do, right? So going back to Shabri, because her story is so interesting, and thank you for bringing that up. So she had faith in her spiritual master. So that is definitely something which is peculiar to her devotional service. And then what more was so peculiar? What was she doing when Ramchandra ji came?
वो फ्रूट लाई थी कि उसको फिर फ्रूट को टेस्ट किया कि खट्टा ना हो, तो टेस्ट कर
बेर।
करके खिला।
Right, bear, right?
उसने अपने अश्रुओं से उनके पैर धो दिए थे भगवान की।
There you see, right? So with her tears from her eyes, so much of tear. And so when so much of tears come to your heart, so don't think that this is just atishokti, as they say, right? Hyperbole. This is not hyperbole when they're saying that she cleansed the feet of Lord Ramchandra through her tears, right? हम लोग का क्या होता है, कोई दुख होता है, कोई मर भी जाता है, कितना रोते हैं, थोड़ी देर बाद कहते हैं हमसे नहीं रोया जाता, आंख में दर्द होता है, right? But incessantly tears coming off their eyes is actually depicting a very high level of devotional service. Very, very high level. And in such cases, and when you reach such a high level of devotional service, then the tears that come out of your eyes, they will come with so much of gusto, so much of speed. It is almost as if somebody has opened the tap and the water is coming out. So that's why they're able to wash the feet of Lord Ramchandra like that. Okay, so that was something fantastic she did. What else did she do? Ritual? Bear.
पूरा दिन लगा कि हाँ, पहले तो उसने जो फूल बिछाए उसमें एक एक कांटा निकाल के तब उसने बिछाए।
Look at that, right?
फिर फल चुन के लाई, उनको साफ करके धो के फिर उनको टेस्ट करके रखे उसने कि कौन सा मीठा है कौन सा खट्टा।
And look at that. So in doing that, her love for Ramchandra was so intense that she even forgot the rules and regulations, right? When you offer something to the Lord, bhoga, you don't taste it, right? But she was beyond that. And so when you reach that stage, the jiva means the soul, is only thinking about satisfying the Lord. It doesn't think about its own satisfaction. And towards that end, in order to achieve that goal, if it thinks that I have to break the rules and suffer the consequences of breaking the rule, they are willing to do that. They're willing to do that because they think, I don't want my Lord to suffer. What if he eats a bear, which is not sweet, it is sour or bitter and things like that. So their devotional service, they are at a very high stage of devotional service. And we can see a lady who was just born in a Bhil family could achieve that kind of a level. What to talk of us who have got all the facilities of the modern world. So you all can also do that. You all also can become Shabris, in your own way, like that. So going back, is there a question there? Okay, I thought somebody was saying something. Okay, so I'm going to start sharing this again, the screen. So we were talking about Asakti, Bhava, and Prema as the 9 stages there. and going now to the next. I'm going to skip over these slides because I already told. A few of the slides actually we already talked about, so I'm just going to skip over them. So we started with Shraddha, and we said there are two types of Shraddha. Does anybody remember what are the two types of Shraddha?
एक कच्ची एक पक्की.
Kachi Pakki. Okay, good. Kachi Pachi. We'll take Kachi.
Komal and Paripakwa.
Komal and right. Paripakwa, right? So Komal Shraddha means that anybody can come talk you out of it. Like, I start doing devotional service, but somebody comes and says, spends 15 minutes with me. Sab ye sab bekar hai. Kya kar rahe ho apne career ka? Kya kar liya? Ye sab kya? Chodo ye sab budhape mein karna. Like that, right? So they will tell you, and then we just start following them. So Shraddha is Komal. And but Shraddha can also become very strong faith. And at that time, nobody can deviate you from, I want to become a devotee of the Lord. I know that I'm not a high-level devotee. I know I'm not on stage 9 of devotional service, but you keep quiet. You please don't talk to me. You please don't deviate me. I am on my own. I have found my Krishna, and I'm going to find him, ultimately reach him like that. Then we talked about Sadhu Sangha, which is association of devotees. And what was the fantastic thing about association? Do we remember? What happens in this? What is that picture showing you? What was that picture showing you? Do you want me to bring it up again?
सब के सब जलने लगेंगे. They with the one satsang उसमें सब join हो जाएंगे.
Right. So this example that was given was that when there is, if you take an iron rod like this, iron rod like this, and if you take this iron rod and you put it in fire, which means you put it in the association of fire, you see it has become fire like that. So similarly, if you are in the association of exalted devotees, their characteristics are going to rub on you, and we are going to become devotees as well of a higher magnitude. Okay? Then we said that we should do bhajana kriya. And at that time, you go and take a formal diksha from a spiritual master, right? And then under his guidance, you will start doing bhajan. Bhajan means devotional service. And the spiritual master will plant the seed of devotional service in your heart. And we have to it's a seed, right? So the seed has to ultimately become a plant. And this plant is actually a creeper. Creeper matlab bale, hoti na lata, aise karke upar jati hai. So similarly, this creeper of devotional service gets planted in your heart, and it will grow taller and taller and taller. Ultimately, it will go and reach Golok Vrindavan. Now, how many of you, as you were studying, growing up, or maybe after coming here to America, read the story of Jack and the Bean Tree, if I remember correctly? Does anybody remember? There you go. Can you tell us about that story?
So mom has a really poor, and mom has a cow, so she sends Jack to go and sell the cow and get the money so that they can survive. So he goes, and on the way he meets someone, and he says, hey, you want to sell me the cow, but only I have 5 magic beans, but these are magic beans. He was so excited about magic beans that he brings and come back, and mom really gets angry, and she throws the beans outside the window and doesn't give him food to eat and everything. And then those in the morning when they wake up, the beans have grown and reaching to the sky. And then the boy climbs up and goes there. There's a giant there who wants to eat him up, but he tricks, and then he gets the golden harp, and he gets all kind of stuff, and then mom is happy.
There you go. Yeah. So Jack and the magical beans was able to get something material. Thank you so much. Yeah, I had forgotten parts of the story. So yeah. So you see, these stories are actually getting inspired from our Shastras. People who write these stories get inspired. In some lifetime, they have heard these stories. So we talk about the magical bean tree just was in this material universe, but this bean, or this bhakti lata that we are talking about, this will take you all the way outside of this material universe, outside of this bhumandal, outside of this Brahman, and it will take you all the way to Golok Vrindavan in the spiritual planets, right? When you are doing a bhajana kriya like that. And then The fourth stage we talked about was anartha nivritti. Does anybody remember what is anartha nivritti? You have to unmute yourself and tell me. Anartha, does it sound ring any bells? Anartha, anartha. Here you go. English. Unwanted what?
Habits.
Habits, right? So anarthas are bad habits, unwanted habits. And nivritti means you get freed of them. So you have to become free of the bad habits. So here's the interesting thing, that this is the longest stage. It takes a very long time for us to give up our unwanted habits. And why it is like that is because we have formed bad habits over, this is a fill in the blank coming up. We have formed bad habits over dash lifetimes. Can you tell me how many lifetimes? Okay, go ahead, give me, yeah, tell me.
Since childhood.
Since childhood, okay. So this lifetime, okay. Anybody else has got some other
Many
idea?
lifetimes.
Huh?
So
Say
many lifetimes, you know. So Janma we have taken.
Yes. So over millions and millions and millions of lifetimes that we have taken, we have formed one bad habit or five bad habits or maybe six good habits and things like that. But both the kinds of impressions are there in our mind. And when we die, when a person dies, then it's just this external body that dies. And when the soul goes into and takes a new body, then it carries the mind from the previous life. It carries the mind to the new life, also new body also. So in the mind is written all these things, like what are the good things, what are the bad habits, they're all etched in. And there's a Sanskrit word for that, and that is called samskar. That's why sometimes we say uske samskar अच्छे नहीं हैं, उसके संस्कार अच्छे हैं. एक घर में दो भाई हैं, एक भाई का संस्कार अच्छा है, एक भाई का संस्कार खराब है, right? Two sons in the same family, one has got good habits and one has got bad habits from right from childhood. They are come from the same parent, they're eating the same food, they're breathing the same air practically, yet they are different because of the backlog that comes from the previous. So to give up these, we need to give up all these bad habits that have been formed, that have, etched in our psyche for a very long time. So if this is your devotional service, this is the creeper of your devotional service, then what happens is that while you are performing devotional service, there'll be other weeds, right? Upashakha. These are the bad habits. So can you see how big they are, how dense they are? So we need to constantly unweed them. We need to constantly, remove them. So what are these? So here are some examples they're giving, right? Nisiddhachara, kutinati, jiva himsana, labha, puja, patistadi, yata upashakha, gana. So it's saying in the next slide, it's telling these are some of the bad habits. Of course, there are so many bad habits. Chai pi aur wahin pe cup chhod diya. Wife will tell you that's a bad habit, and it is a bad habit. But the bigger bad habits that we have to really focus on are these, right? And that is animal killing, diplomatic behavior, politics karna, mundane profiteering, mundane adoration, and mundane importance. All these are unwanted creepers. So we should not want ki main ye hoon, to aap mere saath ye kariye. I expect this because I'm a great personality. I want you to bow down to me and like that. No. The mood of a devotee is that he wants to be the servant of the servant of the servant of the servant, million times removed like that, right? Humility is a big quality of a devotee. So it's a good practice for all of us to once in a while take a sheet of paper and write down our anarthas. Because unless and until you don't write them down, then you won't even know that you have anarthas. And then, of course, if you don't know them, then you will not have a need to remove them even. Sometimes you might just turn around and do the most difficult thing in the world. And that is turn to your spouse and ask them what do they think are your bad habits. Right? Very difficult to do. False ego doesn't allow you to do that. But it's a good thing. Ask your friends, ask your confidants, somebody that you're close to. Ask them that, what are some traits in me that you don't like, which can be improved upon. Write them down and have a plan, have a chart, and then work on them like that. Okay, so good idea to jot down your anarthas, because you have to remember that your thoughts become your words become actions, actions become habits, the anarthas here. And then this forms your character, and that character forms your destiny, like that. So then also one thing, while we are on this big exercise of fault finding, we have to remember that fault finding should only happen with ourselves. And what it means is that this exercise of finding fault should be directed towards us. I want to find faults about myself, right? We should not be in this habit of mentally looking at others and saying, वो ऐसा कर रहा है, वो क्यों कर रहा है, ऐसा नहीं करना चाहिए था, ये गलत है, वो क्या सोचते हैं, डिवोटी मैं समझी थी, ये वो नहीं. Krishna is says that in 9th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, api chet suduracharo bhajte mam ananya bhag sadhur eva samantavya. So he says that if somebody is doing super bad things, a devotee, you don't start judging in your head, right? That this should be done to him, he should be punished, he should be punished, I don't know why they are doing it. Leave it up to Krishna. It's between Krishna and that devotee. And why does he say that? He's saying that the process of devotional service itself is so purifying that even if a devotee does a few bad things here and there, but if he continues in his devotional service, then devotional service itself will purify him of all the anarthas that he has from past, as well as any that he's cultivating now. And so then after some time, he'll become a devotee, pure devotee again. And guess what? If we did not control our thoughts, then our devotional service is going to go down. Hamara hoga patan, right? Like that. So, okay. So going forward here, back again to the verse that I just quoted. So it's up there. Shipram bhavati dharmatma. So very quickly he will become even if somebody is doing bad things, very quickly he will become a good person. So let's not cast, stones on other people. Right? And then also you remember that when a person is devotee, then all kinds of good qualities will come in their devotee. They might not all of them come on day one, but they do come. And you can always see that devotees are such sweet people. They're so sweet. You want to be around them all the time. And why? Because they have got good qualities inside them. So you want to hang around them, right? You can also look at your bad habits, and you can also form some new habits. And there was a document that I gave to Vidhu and she has put it on her website, where I was saying that, it's a good idea to open our minds to Krishna. Matsamo nasti papatma naparadhi chakaschana parihare pilajame kim bhuve purushottama yuvatinam yatha yuni yunam cha yuvato yatha manobhi ramate tadman mano me ramatam tvai. So what this verse is basically saying is that there is nobody who is a bigger sinner than I am. There's nobody worse than I am. That should be the mood. That should be the level of humility that we should have. And when we turn to God, we are saying that we have committed so many offenses that I should be the one who should be punished so terribly. But please, what can I speak of all the things that I have done, right? But you please have mercy on me, my dear Lord. And so that I can now at least go back to you and go back to the devotional service like that. So then we talked about nishtha, and nishtha was steadiness. Steadiness means that every day you all meet at 7 o'clock in the night and listen to Krishna Katha. You will do that. Every day I get up in the morning and I do my morning rituals like that. Okay. And nobody can budge us from there, right? Nobody can budge us from there. Only thing that makes us deviate from our devotional service is when we do Vaishnava Aparadh. Vaishnava Aparadh means that when we do bad things to a devotee of the Lord, right? Like that. Even to somebody who's a future devotee of the Lord, we should not do that. And that's why there's emphasis here on the fact that we should always be looking inside us. And if others are doing something bad, you just leave them to Krishna, because just thinking things in your head, thoughts will become actions, right? And you might go and say something bad to them, that becomes Vaishnava Aparadha, and that just completely spoils our devotional service. It's like a demotion that you get in that area. So then going further along our stages of devotional service, we had talked about steady practice will lead you to steady practice in devotional service. So I'm just going to skip over a few of these things. We are already there. We have kind of talked about that. Nishtha, I will do my chants every day without fail, like that. And then we had said that Nishtha, there were some impediments. And one of them I said was that, you do Vaishnava Aparadha, right? And today Mahendra ji was singing that song, Baake Bihari Mujhe Dena Sahara, Kahin Chhoot Jaye Na Daman Tumhara, right? This is the fear. This is the fear a devotee always has. And why? Because he was singing, Tere Raste Se Mujhe Hatati Hai Duniya, right? So what is this dunya? This dunya is Maya. The Maya shows you beautiful pictures, right? It is like a Venus flytrap, right? And we get attached to this, and this is actually a plant. And the moment you go there, then what it does is that it will close it on you, and then it eat the fly inside. This is how Maya is, and that is why these songs have got such deep meaning. They are saying that, okay, Kahin Chhoot Na Jaye Daman Tumhara is not just beautiful, not only is just beautiful poetry, it's got deep meaning. And we try to understand that philosophy by saying, okay, so there's a material world. Okay, this is how it operates. Okay, I've got senses, and this is how they operate, and so on and so forth, like that over there. And so continuing on with that, where are we here? Sharing the desktop with you. This Nishtha is there. And of course, Prahlad Maharaj showed a lot of Nishtha, right? Nobody could deviate him. Not even his father, Hiranyakashipu, could do that. And then after that, you get Ruci. So what do you think Ruci means? What do you think is the meaning of the word Ruci? Ruci bolte hai na? बात करते तो रुचि आई, रुचि है, रुचि नहीं है.
किस चीज में इंटरेस्ट है तुम्हें?
Desire.
Taste for something.
Taste for something.
Yeah,
Exactly right. Exactly. It's a taste. रुचि है. मुझे रुचि नहीं है. बुखार हो गया. किसी चीज में रुचि नहीं है. Like that we say, right? So रुचि. Yeah. And here we are talking about having a strong taste for devotional service. Now there are two things about ruchi that we should know. That one is that it is called Vastu Vaisistya Apekshini, right? So this we are talking about ruchi for devotional service. And what it means, you don't have to bother about the Sanskrit words, focus on the English. And it is saying that there's one type of ruchi which awaits specific requirements. Specific requirement means कीर्तन करना है, हाँ. अच्छा लगता है कीर्तन, लगता है. रुचि है, हाँ है. लेकिन आज क्या हुआ, कीर्तन जमा नहीं. क्यों नहीं जमा? क्योंकि करताल नहीं थे, किसी ने मृदंगम नहीं बजाई, और जो गा रहे थे उनका गला खराब था, राइट? कुछ जमा नहीं, कुछ जोश नहीं था उनके गाने में. कुछ जोश होता तो मुझे मजा आता, right? So this type is thing, you have a taste for hearing Krishna Katha, but you are waiting for some other factors, some other conditions to first happen, and then you will do devotional service. Some condition, right? छोटा जरा सा टेस्ट है. सरसों का साग अच्छा लगता है, घी डालो उसके ऊपर तब मजा है, नहीं खाता घी के बगैर, like that, right? So that is known as vastu vaishistya apekshini. The apeksha hai, there is some expectation that something should happen, and then I will do devotional service properly, like that. And the second one is anapekshini. right? Vastu Vaishishtya Anapekshani. It does not have expected, it does not hear, right? And what it'll do is that he wants to hear, he chants the Lord's names, qualities, pastimes, so on in a strong and steady way. Steady means nishtha, right? So here's the interesting thing. Here's the interesting thing that this person will sing. Chahe kaisi awaaz ho, dusra kaisa ga raha ho, doesn't matter. As long as naam gaane ruchi, that he wants to sing the praises of the Lord, doesn't matter awaaz kaisi hai. He wants to hear praises of the Lord, doesn't matter what's the sort of singing that person is doing or not doing, whether musical instruments are there or not there. He has got, so this is a higher taste. That no matter what, you are listening at the contents and the essence of the words that are being spoken. And so you are just listening to them like that, right? And then on top of that, then as a next stage, if attractive embellishments are added, like, so some very fantastic singer comes and sings, and there's a fantastic orchestra, all kinds of musical instruments are there in front of this person who already likes songs which were without the music. You can imagine what effect that song singing is going to have on that person. So that is a second and a higher stage of ruchi. And when that person is in that high stage of ruchi, higher stage of ruchi, he's always thinking, he's lamenting actually. When he's lamenting, when he reaches that stage that he wants to hear about Krishna, he's lamenting and he's just saying that, why did I waste my whole life in not pursuing devotional service of you, O Lord? Why did I do that? And so, usko hota hai prayaschit, right? Prayaschit. What is prayaschit? Pashtana, right? So there's something going on in the head where you are thinking that, oh, something I did which was not the right thing, right? I wasted away my time, right? So he will do that, and that is fine, right? What did I do? I had a stomach. What kind of things did I put in my stomach? You know, I was drinking wine, I was eating meat, I was doing this, I was having relationships and all that kind of stuff, right? So when he's repenting like that, then the Lord takes mercy in him, and from within the heart, he will strengthen his taste for devotional service. And then if he's lucky, then he will be presented with Srimad Bhagavatam. And Srimad Bhagavatam is supposed to be the mature fruit of all Vedic literature. Srimad Bhagavatam will automatically appear in that person's home. And it is said to be a mature fruit. So when we are saying fruit, a mature means ripened fruit. So a ripened fruit is very tasty. And we are talking about taste. We are talking about ruchi, right? So when you act this way and you work this way really from your heart, then God will also take 10 steps towards you, and he will make sure that the right kinds of paraphernalia appear in your life, and then so that you can pursue. And then now that you have a taste for Krishna Katha, then you'll be able to drink nicely from Krishna Katha like that. Okay, so that was about Ruchi, and I'm going to stop over here. I need to find out if Amantika has come out of the class, but I'd like you to use this time to reflect, spend a few minutes, reflect and tell me, because we still have a minute to 7:45. Tell me what you heard, anything that you liked. And of course, if you have any questions, we will also take those up. Okay, so Amantika is having problems joining. Okay, it's a different number. Go ahead. Please unmute yourself and tell me. Didn't like anything? Liked everything?
Liked everything.
Liked everything?
Yeah.
It's very nice,
भगवान
informative.
कृष्ण के लिए सब कुछ अच्छा है.
All right. See, you are.
इनके बारे में कुछ भी सुने वो अच्छा है.
अच्छा है, right? So, what did you like? See, this is what happens with Krishna Katha is like that it is so engaging. Krishna
Yes.
Katha is so engaging. I'm just trying to send the number to Amantika. So I'm a little bit distracted. So it is so engaging that you listen with rapt attention, and then you like everything, and then you come out and they say, oh, it was a fantastic lecture. Yeah, what did they say? I don't remember. It happens like that. Yeah.
Mhm.
So let's see.
को भाव विभोर की स्थिति हो जाती है ना.
Everything was great. The last one was
Yeah.
really good. I mean, whenever you find out you need to do bhakti, and God will help you to do that. Whenever you regret we wasted our life, and then whenever you start it, God is with you. He's gonna help you.
आप अनम्यूट कर लीजिए.
अभी आप muted हैं.
Yeah, I was saying that she got the number. What else? What else did you hear? And you plan to apply in your life. Let's get going. Let's do something, right?
We can distract.
Yeah.
We can just block our mind from the distractions, and we can indulge ourselves into bhakti.
Very nice. You see, I like the word indulgence. Normally we use the term indulgence in a bad sense, right? But you can indulge in, if you have a desire to indulge, let's indulge in bhakti, right? If you have a desire to sing, let's sing bhajans. If you have a desire to eat, let's eat prasakam, right? We don't say no to eating, we eat actually more than normal. Others actually, not normal or abnormal, like that.
And I like that you should look at your own weakness and then praise whatever the other has. Don't look at their negativity and weakness. Look at your negativity and weakness. A good point from others.
Yes, it's a very good point, because when you point a finger at your neighbor, there are 3 more pointing back at you. And
Right.
there's a thumb which is pointing up there to show that there is God. Don't forget him before you point that, right? Yeah. So yes, very nice. Anything else? Okay, so what are the 9 stages of devotional service? First one is
Havas and prem. Oh, Shraddha.
Sadhu Sangha,
That's
Bhajaniya,
Bhajan Kriya.
Anartha
Seva Bhav.
yeah.
Anarth Nivritti.
Okay. All right.
Nishtha.
Ruci.
Ruci.
So, for
Okay.
God,
So so why don't we go over these one by one? And 3 2 she's having 320 325 486.
No. 320025.
Okay, I was just copying from 320, because what happened was I just copied from your text message, but I didn't use your text message because I've stored it.
Yeah.
मोटो
From
तो थोड़ा
there.
काम करेगा.
320025 486.
6.
आगू
320 025 486. That's what I have.
Yeah.
Okay, no problem. Yeah. All right. So what I will do, 320 025 486. I'll just send that to you so that it stays, because I
No,
always,
she joined already. There
Yeah.
she is.
yeah, she's good. Okay, Avantika, Hare Krishna, Hare Bol.
Hare Krishna.
Hare
Hare
Krishna.
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 Bharat is also there. Okay, good.
Yeah. Hello, Bharat.
Okay. So I'm going to mute everybody, but you can please do, not only can, but please do sing behind the closed mic. And Avantika, you'll have to unmute yourself, because in that process you also got muted. I can only ask you to unmute yourself. I can't unmute you. Yeah.
Hare Krishna.
Okay. Yes.
Okay.
Can hear you. Yeah. Thank you, Avantika. Thank you for singing. And Viduji, you are on mute.
Thank you, Avantika, very much for coming. And Bharat, you too. Thank you so much for lovely bhajan.
Thank you.
So thank you. It's 8 o'clock in the night now. And thank you so much, dear devotees, for a fantastic participation and a sankalpa that you're going to apply some of these things in your life. And we will, from today till the next time we meet, just have Krishna in your heart. And thank you so much once again for hearing me.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much for coming and joining us. We really appreciate that.
Thank you very much.
Hare Krishna.
Service.
So I made you the host.
Okay.
And can you double check that it went through properly?
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
Fantastic. So I'll take your leave now.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.